Hey, what is it? Welcome to the video. So today we're talking about 7 steps to unfuck your lead gen. All right, so specifically if you're a coaching consultant business, you want to book more calls for your business, hopefully get more leads, all right, just more people in the top of the funnel. This video is going to help you do all that. I'm just going to break it all down, no fluff, no BS, not going to sell you anything. If you don't know who I am, my name is Jack Bly. I'm the founder of Acquisition Pilot. Basically help coaches and consultants scale their businesses and get a hell of a lot more leads. All right, so let's break it down. It's pretty early. I'm recording this video. It's still dark outside. It's like 6 a.m. or so. But we're gonna break down 7 things. So I'm gonna erase this beautiful title that I drew so we can start writing out what these 7 things are. All right, so hang with me here. So number 1, and I promise you probably haven't heard this like anywhere before. This is gonna be really new stuff that most people don't talk about, especially like all of these, so-called gurus and stuff. But number 1, number 1 is what we call stimulus and response. Stimulus, response. All right, so this is a huge concept you need to understand for lead generation. If you don't have this, you're gonna really struggle. So what is stimulus response? So stimulus response is basically, if you see, if you're at a traffic light and it's red, all right, you're going to stop. There's things that just happen here. So the stimulus is the color of the light. All right, if it's red, we stop. All right, the response is what we do. In response to the stimulus, the light being red, we stop. If it's green, the stimulus is green, our response is go, we drive. All right, so that is the basic concept of stimulus response. If there's different stimuli in front of us, different information goes in our brain, we take different responses. And so we can apply this to lead generation where, basically what we have here, we have this human, and this is the prospect. This is the Mr. Lead, all right? This is the dude who's gonna become our future client. And so what we basically put this magical stimulus in front of him, and he sees this. He now sees this with his eyeballs. This could be an outbound message, this could be an ad, it could be anything. This is the stimulus. And basically he takes a response based off this stimuli, all right? Just like the green light, red light. All right, it could be if it's a bad stimuli, it's not good enough, doesn't really entice him, doesn't have the right psychology, then he's gonna just do nothing. He's not gonna take the response that we want. That's still a response. It's still stimuli and response. All right, or he can see this as a great stimuli. It's perfectly crafted for him. And what he does, he takes action. All right, he does, I don't know. He goes over here. He goes on the next step for a lead gen system. So that's stimulus and response. We're gonna break down in this video basically how you can create a good stimulus so you can get the response that you want of booking more calls, basically. And doing this has booked me a record of so far 264 sales calls in 1 month. So not too shabby. I'll show you what we do for this. Let's move on to the next one. So that's number 1. Make sure we have enough room here. I'm gonna delete my beautiful drawing. I'm sorry if you missed it. Number 2 is market research. Okay, so if you notice, in that drawing, what I drew was a human, right? It was a human. Or if you remember correctly, we had this human here. And that is extremely important because the human is what determines, the response. All right, different humans have different response to the same stimulus. All right, one person can see a chocolate cake and one person thinks, delicious, I want a piece right now, I'm starving, let's eat this thing. Another person sees a chocolate cake and they think, gross, that's disgusting, it's so unhealthy, I'm not gonna touch that with a 10-foot pole. All right, same stimulus, but different human. All right, so the big thing that matters here is the human determines the effectiveness of your stimulus. All right, of the content, of the ad, of the outbound message, what you're putting in front of them, the human determines the effectiveness. So with that said, we need to do market research so we can see what does this human like? What are their desires? What are their fears? What are their pain points? What are all these things about them? What are their psyche? All right, we need to figure this out. And so my favorite way to do this is just poll your clients. Just poll your clients. Send them a survey, questionnaire, whatever you gotta do, and poll them on these key things. All right, I'll list out some things that we definitely wanna know. So one of them we wanna know is the dream outcome. All right, so dream outcome. So this is, what do they want as a result of your service, your program, your coaching program? What is the dream outcome? So for this, you can give them a few examples. You can give them, hey, dude, off these 3 options, what sounds like the most similar or, the most affinity to what you truly want as a result of this program? Or you can just ask them straight up and they'll give you it in their own words. All right, so that's number 1. Other things you want is like hesitations. All right. Before you joined this program, like what hesitations did you maybe have? Like what were you thinking about? Like what were your doubts or concerns? What are your hesitations? And this kind of brings out, this is a really cool point. This kind of brings out the common objections. All right, so people are thinking, yeah, I'm thinking about it, but I'm just like really busy right now. I got kids, I got a family, I got a full-time job. And so you'll find out these interesting hesitations, and so you can work this, so you can reverse engineer this into your stimuli. So you say, hey, if you want this exact dream outcome that they said they want, without XYZ hesitations, you overcome it, you put that stimuli in front of them, all of a sudden it's way more effective, simply because we did the market research. All right, when I say this, a lot of people, they roll their eyes, they're like, ugh, that's boring research. Like I left school for a reason, I don't want to do any more research. But this is a moneymaker right here. If you want to make money, you want more leads, you need this. Do not skimp on this. Do not. All right. The best place you can find this is going to be polling your clients, also sales calls. You know, sales calls are amazing. After you've done 20, 30 sales calls, you should really know the psyche of your niche and their pain points and their problems and like everything. So do that. All right. These are going to be basic ones. That's what we'll go over for now. That's number 2, market research. Number 3. All right, number 3 is huge. Make sure that this works. So lead gen system. Lead gen system. All right, so what we want to do, we want to break lead generation into a system. Because right now it's kind of like a fairy tale, right? Sipping some coffee. We need to get some caffeine in the bloodstream, but lead gen system. So what I'm saying is like, right now lead gen is just like an idea, it's just a concept. Like, I just want to book more calls, I want to book more appointments, I want more leads, but like, what does that mean? Like, we're starting to get a little bit serious with this stimulus response, but still, like, how do we like compartmentalize things? How do we like systemize this, you know? And so here's what we do here. All right, I'll break down the lead gen system, what it is comprised of, like truly. And when you see this, like you can't unsee it. Like you will see lead gen differently. So first thing, let's say number 1 is attention. Okay, so there's gonna be 3 steps that I lay out, 3 components of this system. 1 is attention, 2 is interest, and then 3, the final one, is, call booked. All right, 3 steps. This is the lead gen system right here. We get their attention, we convert their attention into interest, we convert their interest into a call booked. That is the lead gen system. All right, and because like, how we came up with these 3 steps is like, this is literally like, this is it. So if you realize how this works, like the first step is attention. We have to get the attention of the human that we want in the first place. If we don't do this, nothing else can take place. Nothing can happen. They can't be interested if they don't even look at it. Like they can't book a call if they don't have their attention. So this is number 1. And basically what we have here is each stage, we have different stimuli that we put in front of them. All right, so each stage we have stimulus that we put in front of them in hopes they convert to the next stage. All right, so we have this thing hoping to get their attention so they can convert here. Then once they're here, we have this thing hoping they convert here. All right, do you see that? All right, that is how it works. That is a lead gen system. All right, and then the number 4, we'll jump to number 4 right now. How you really measure this, how you make this more like realistic and legit is metrics. All right, so metrics. So, man, this was a huge mistake I made for so long, is not tracking metrics. I remember I was on a call with one of my business mentors, and he humbled me quite a bit. I don't know, this was probably 3 years ago or so. But hop on the call, and he was just kind of like breaking down our business, so asking us questions. And he's like, okay, so all right, boys, so like, what's the numbers? You know, what's this number? What's this number? What's your close rate? How many calls booked? Blah blah blah. And we're like, give us about 5 minutes. We can look it up and like find it and calculate it. And he just like laughs at us. He's like, all right, boys, like, if you're gonna be in business, you're gonna run serious, like you have to track metrics. You have to know this stuff, the back of your head, like. So metrics. But the reason this is so important because it tracks the effectiveness of the stimulus right here. All right, so this like cool ball thing that I drew, the stimulus, which is the content, which is the ad piece. The metrics track how effective this thing is. All right, this is hugely important. What most people do is they don't do this. They don't track metrics, so everything is random. They put out content, And 1 month they get a bunch of leads, they get a bunch of clients, they're like, awesome, like let's freaking go. I'm booming, like I know how to do this thing, I'm great at business. Then the next month they create some more content and then nothing happens, no client signed, and it's a complete drought. And they don't know what's going on because they don't track metrics. They don't keep track of stimuli and response and metrics and all these things. So when you do this, when you track metrics, you know exactly what happens here, the stimulus response. All right, so we put this thing in front of humans right here for attention. We know exactly, okay, cool. Let's say 10% converted from attention into interest. We know this, all right, because we have this metric that we track. And so also we know the stimulus is a converting stimulus. We know it's 10% conversion. All right, we can test another one. We say, okay, we have this one right here, and let's say this converts, at 6%. And so we can clearly see, okay, this stimulus, this ad, this Apple message, this content converts less. Therefore, it's a less effective stimulus. Therefore, let's use more of this winning one. All right, that's how it works. That is how the game works. You must track these things because it is cause and effect. Like the whole entire game is cause and effect. There's no randomness, like there's no magical thing going on. There's nothing like that. If you want more clients, it is cause and effect. It is stimuli and response. Like this is it. This is the truth right here. And so metrics, like I'll give you a concrete example here for metrics. So I want to make this real for you. So we're going to use outbound for an example. So outbound client acquisition, you're probably aware of this, but this is you messaging strangers one-to-one in DMs. This could be emails, whatever. We're going to use DMs because this is the one we mainly use for coaches. So what we have here. All right, so different metric that we track, like the main ones here are going to be PRR, positive reply rates, and then we have ABR, which is appointment booking rate. So these are the two main metrics we're tracking here. There is more stuff, but this is the main ones. So positive reply rate is basically what percentage of people positively reply to our outbound message, okay? And then the final one is appointment book rate. How many people actually book an appointment from all the people that we contacted? All right, these measure the effectiveness of these different stimuli. All right, so we have the stimuli right here. So we have this outbound message we send. Imagine this is an outbound message. And then we're trying to convert people from attention to interest. And we're measuring this effectiveness with positive reply rate. So this is kind of attached to the stimulus. All right, so you can think of every stimuli has a metric attached to it. All right, that's how you want to think of it. So all these stages, they have stimuli. All these stages, they have metrics. They're all attached. All right. And so next thing is a positive reply. Next thing is we want to put basically our offer message, could be a quick 90-second VSL in front of them. All right. That's another stimulus. And in the stimulus, all right, we're basically hoping, hey, I'm interested, send me your calendar link. All right, that's the response that we want. And then we track the effectiveness of this with ABR. So ABR is obviously telling us how many people actually book a call from this stimuli. All right, and so we're tracking these things. It becomes very simple because we have metrics and we have the exact stimuli. All right, so that is metrics. That's how that works. Number 5. Number 5 is just a major mistake that people make. So, number 5 is friction. Number 5 is friction. So, a major mistake that people make is like, ask yourself, like right now, if your calendar is not filled up, if it's not full like you want it to be, this absolutely applies to you. If your calendar is full right now, okay, like you don't really need to worry about this too much, but if your calendar isn't, like, this is a big deal. Friction. So let me break down what that means. So what a very common situation is, I'll kind of draw out what happened. I hear so many times is coaching business, let's say they tell me, okay, I book like 5 calls a month or something. Like it's extremely low, it's extremely inconsistent. All right. So they tell me they book 5 calls a month. I'm like, okay, gotcha. And then I look at like their whole entire, lead gen system, lead gen funnel. It's obviously, they have no metrics. They're not aware of any of this stuff. And I also look at their calendar setup and I see so much friction. It is just absurd. Like so many people, they send people like, they do a whole like DM sequence, and then they send them to an application that's like a super long application with tons of questions, with paragraph answers, with financial qualifiers, with this and that and this and this. And then once they complete the application, then they have to contact them, and then they send them a calendar link like a day or two later, and then they're hoping they go through the calendar, like answer more questions, and then book a call. Like it's absurd, like it's insane. Like you're making them hop through so many hoops to get to the thing that you really want. Like you see, there's too much friction, there's too much stuff going on. And so like one of the big things you can do right away to book more calls is decrease friction, right? Decrease friction. So the big things that you can do to decrease friction, first one, I'll say like Calendly setup. With your calendar and you have like those questions, right? What you want to do is decrease friction as much as possible, just in the way that they respond to the questions. So a big thing that is big, but it sounds really small, is just having, paragraph answers versus simple multiple choice. All right, so if you have people answering in paragraphs right now, just simply change that to multiple choice, and I guarantee you, like that alone will book you more calls. It sounds stupid, but humans are lazy. Humans are inherently so lazy, and they're also busy. So if they don't have much time and they're trying to book a call with you, but they have to like spend 15 minutes answering questions, they're not gonna do it. They're gonna delay it, and then they forget about it, and then boom, they don't book a call with you because of that. All right, so change paragraph answers into simple multiple choice so they can go click, 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 click. Okay, call's booked. Instead of, first question, let me ponder about this, and then type a paragraph, and then like it takes too long. All right, so multiple choice questions. The second big thing here is financial qualifiers. All right. And people are going to get mad when I say this, but it's absolutely true. So if you're in a situation where you're not booking like any calls right now, or you're booking very few, your calendar is wide open, like you have so many slots, it's insane, like anyone can talk to you in the world, remove financial qualifiers. Like do yourself a favor, remove this. Like don't have one. You need more calls right now. This is a huge form of friction. All right, think about it. You're asking someone who hasn't even heard your value proposition yet to say, yeah, I'm down to invest. Like they're basically saying like, yeah, I would be willing to buy this, and even though I have no clue what it is. Like it's a hard thing to say. So a lot of people will say no on this, or a lot of people will see this and just not book a call because of it, because they're like, I don't really know. I'm not convinced of the value. I don't really need it, and they don't book a call. All right, if you remove this, again, it decreases friction way down, and like the vast majority of the prospects that hop in are still going to be qualified. They're still going to have a source of income. Like they're not going to be homeless. Like I can promise you that. All right, so remove financial qualifiers if you want to book more calls. This will close you more deals, period. The net deal flow will be higher, especially if you have no calls right now. If you do have a full calendar, then you can consider adding in some friction. All right, so friction is an up and down thing. It's not necessarily like you have to decrease it. It depends on your situation. All right, so for me, like my calendar's like full, like really like every day now. So I'm considering either increasing friction, or the route I'm probably gonna go is I'm just gonna expand my sales team. All right, I need to add some sales reps so I have more availability. All right, so that is friction. You can decrease it if you have no calls booked, or you can increase it if you have too many calls booked. All right, so that is friction. Number six right here, right? My marker thing is getting a little flat. Scientific method. All right, so the scientific method. This is gonna sound a little bit crazy. You're probably like, what in the world? I'm trying to make some money, Jack. I'm not trying to learn about science. But scientific method here. This is like, if you use this, it is an inevitability. You will book out your calendar and you will sign a whole bunch of clients, like a lot of clients, if you do this correctly. So I'm looking at my notes here, but there's 3 big steps to apply the scientific method to your lead gen system. So it is literally impossible for you to fail. If you do this correctly, like it is mathematically, scientifically impossible for you to fail, given enough time. All right, so here's what it is. We're gonna apply this to lead gen. It's gonna all make sense in just a moment. So we have our number 1 is test. Number 2 is observe. And then number 3 is iterate. All right, so 3 steps. This is a simplified scientific method, by the way, but I wanted to put this in a way you can easily understand it. So number 1 is test. So basically what we do here, like for this outbound example, where we're testing an outbound message. All right, so that's like put your scientist hat on, like you're a scientist. When you run an experiment and you're in a lab, like you need all variables controlled. Like you can't have crazy things going on. That's why it's in a lab setting, it's controlled, right? So you want to do the same thing with your lead generation. And so how we do this is when we're running our tests, we're testing an outbound message right here. We want to control all variables possible. All right, so that means like the outbound message, do not change the outbound message until you're done with your test. All right, the huge thing people do is they just send different things, different messages to everyone. There's no test. There's no test taking place. It's just random. So of course it's not gonna be predictable if you're putting a different stimuli in front of different humans every single day. Like, of course. So when you run a test, you want to keep all variables consistent. That's the outbound message. It's also your branding. All right, think of like you receive a message, one of the first things you do is check out who is this person. You check out their profile. So if you change your branding, that's going to be a different stimulus. All right. The pool of leads is also another variable. All right. If you change the pool of leads, the people that you're reaching out to, if you got them from this group or this group, also it's a different pool of leads, and so that's a big variable right there. All right, so that's a test. Basically, you control these variables. You run a test with a minimum sample size for significance. Then once you run that test, you observe results. So basically send out a bunch of outbound messages, you send out 200, 300, and you're looking at these metrics. Or you're looking at the metrics. So you're looking at positive reply rate. Okay, we sent this many out. Let's look at the positive reply. Let's see how effective this stimulus was. If it is effective, then awesome, like we're good. Like stage one is checked off. Like you don't really have to mess with this. All right, assuming we can actually get a good ABR. All right, so that's what you do. You observe metrics. If it's good, then awesome. You check it off and you just keep on doing it. Don't test anything else. Don't change anything else if it's working. If it's working, awesome. You check it off. Don't worry about it. If it's not working though, you go to step 3, which is iterate. All right, you iterate. So let's say we didn't get the check mark. Let's say this converted only at like a 3% positive reply rate. So not what we want, not the standard that we want. And so what we would do there is we would iterate one variable, right? So we iterate one variable. So you can see, okay, well, the outbound message that we used here got 3% positive reply rate, so it got some interest. All right, so it's not like completely dead in the water, but there is some sign of life. There is something that some people are somewhat responding to. We just need we need a little bit more. We need a little bit more interest from this. We need a little bit more response from this. And so you can iterate one variable. All right, so this could be slightly changing the dream outcome that you promised, or this could be putting in a new hesitation, or a new pain point, or you're making it more specific to the avatar. You're changing something about the variable. All right, you're changing something about the stimuli, and you're iterating only one variable. So what this means is do not change multiple things. Do not change your branding, do not change your outbound message, do not change the pool of leads all at the same time. If you do that, you cannot tell what is the cause and effect. You cannot tell the cause and effect relationship. So let's say you do that and it gets worse. Then you're like, well shoot. Like what happened there? Like what could have happened is you could have changed your outbound message and it could have been like a rock star amazing message, but you just changed the lead source and now the leads are like a dead lead source. All right, so you can't label cause and effect, so it messes everything up. So only change one variable at a time. All right, you follow this process for literally everything. This stimulus, you test it. All right, observe. Okay, it's good, cool. This stimulus, you test it, you observe. Okay, not there yet. Iterate. Okay, test it. Okay, not there yet. Iterate one more time. Okay, test it. Boom, it's good to go. Cool. Now we have a converting system. That is how it works. That's how you apply the scientific method to absolutely everything, and you can apply this to your whole entire client acquisition process. So sales as well. We're not talking about sales today, but you can apply that same thing into sales. Number 7, the final one here is scale. All right, scale is a fun word. Everyone says scale. I want to scale. I want to scale. I want to scale. I want to grow. I want more leads. I want to, grow this baby to the moon. So what is scale and how does scale work? So scale is something that you only do once you have proof of concept. You only do this once you have proof of concept. So that means if this stuff right here, if the metrics are not in the KPI that you want, the metrics are not performing to the level that we want, don't scale it yet. Don't scale a broken system. This is a lot of people play the quantity game. They're like, oh, well, just send more messages. You can. You're getting a little bit of response. You'll book some calls, but it's stupid. It's stupid. You might as well test until you get an actual really converting campaign and then scale that. You just have way more leverage. Or you don't have much leverage If you only have, a 0.1 positive reply rate, you have like very little leverage. You have to send so many messages to get the response that we want. All right, but if positive reply rate is 10%, all of a sudden we have something that can be very much scaled, or you have way more leverage, and you can send way less messages and get way more response. So proof of concept first. So make sure this is dialed in, you have these check marks first, and then you scale it. Now, what is scale? Scale is just volume into the system. All right, so initial inputs. So you're just scaling the initial inputs. The initial inputs here are we need more attention. Or so you can think of this as like it's like a funnel basically. All right, and we just need to like pour more in here, pour more water into this funnel, into this beaker, whatever this is, whatever this analogy is taking me. But basically you send more messages. That's the concept of it. You send more messages, you create more content, you increase ad spend, whatever is the lead gen approach that you're taking. That is how you scale. You simply do more inputs. And sometimes there can be limits with like platforms, for example. Certain platforms you only send this many messages. So you have to figure out how to overcome these different constraints. There's so many different ways you can do it. We're not going to go into the specifics and weeds and those details, but that is how you scale. You simply do more inputs in the system right here. All right, so these are the 7 things. If you do these 7 things, you will unfuck your lead gen. All right, these things will absolutely change the game for you. So make sure you understand this fully, stimulus and response. Do your market research. If you don't do this, like you're flopped, you're done for. Lead gen system, this is what actually makes it a lead gen. We have metrics, we have friction, we have the scientific method, and we have scale. All right, my name is Jack Platt. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did and you're a coach, you're looking to scale, you can feel free to click the link below. We can book a free demo if you're interested in that, and we can work together one-on-one to actually build this into your business. If not, no worries at all. If you did like it, hit the thumbs up button, hit the like button. It helps me out a little bit. And also, you get more videos like this in your algorithm. Also, feel free to subscribe if you liked it. You are amazing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.